first black man to blame Sherelle, Cali Bev, Love C for something they ain't do nothing yet. Just wait. Something gonna need a scapegoat. I nominate these three because they're good people. Thank you, Jack. Rainbow Kid, what up? Quincy, bless up, my G. Hope all is well. Tequila, salute. What's popping? Okay. Mel, you already know. There we go. Queen, salute. Appreciate you. Disaster was popping. DJ Riff, salute. All right, man. Let's get it, man. Like shit. Chris, what up? Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Salute to everybody. Tezzy, Black Seinfeld, Anton, Aaron. Okay, I like it. Witty. Okay, everybody in here. Relationship talk with G's was popping. Salute. Jay Miller in the building. Mama Hancho, of course. All right, cool. Leon and Don, what up? Man, it's been a great morning. I've been up since 5 a.m. trying to do my best and be my best. We here now, though. Trev, how your day so far, my brother?
Like most days, man, just busy. Got a whole bunch of things lined up, doing what it do. Just dropped a little video this morning and ready to see how it do. Indeed. You know what I mean? A lot of good things happening, though. Excited for what's coming up in the next few months.
Indeed. Fill us in. Anything that we can look forward to this week, next month, so on and so forth. Where can we find you on a consistent basis?
Okay, so I just relocated, built a new podcast studio down in Jersey. We was in Philly before, and it's a lot more epic, a lot more cozy. I'm expecting some big guests to come through, so it's going to be a movie now, man. We going hard, and I'm going to be pushing a lot more content. That's the one thing I've been kind of missing is the volume. So I'm ready to really get it in and start pushing some volume and go hard this year, man.
Word. That's what's up, man. That volume, that algorithm. I remember when we had the storm, because I'm in Houston, and we had that storm just recently, and I was out for a week, man. You would have thought it was a lifetime, you know, just in terms of the algorithm and things of that nature. So that really does help, just the consistency in the volume. So that's 100%.
For sure.
Indeed. So what I just did also, you could find Trev on Instagram specifically. That's where I keep up with him with the majority of his content just for me. When I go to Instagram, I go to Trev's page, see what the latest is. So I just pinned that link to the top of the chat. And also I put it in the description. Trev, let me know if there's any other links you want me to put in the description as well. But that link is pinned. Go ahead.
Pretty much on everything. Even if you're searching for me on YouTube, it could be Snapchat, Clapper, X. Anything, TikTok, it's all Trev Smoove. Once you search Trev Smoove, you're gonna find me.
Word. Yeah, make sure I go like, share, and subscribe, man. And let me make sure I do this as well real quick. There we go.
Make sure
it's in the description as well. All right, perfect. Cool, man. So we have 130 people in the building so far, and we have 62 likes.
Put him in the fucking bed.
Oh, they playing with you, man. They being disrespectful out here, man.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Pound that like. Especially anybody who came in for me, man. Y'all know what to do. Yeah. Y'all know better than that.
I mean, I'm used to it, Trev. They treat me like Ronnie Dangerfield, man.
No respect.
It's all right. At least they tell me they love me, right? So I guess it's something. Damn, man. What's goody, man? I got Black Seinfeld. Okay, give me the AC. Was good. Lux, what up? Trev, man, you know, I was looking through your Instagram, and there's so much good content.
Appreciate
and
that.
we have these conversations inside out, so we think, you know. But the more perspectives I receive or listen to, the more I realize these conversations we only halfway there, you know. I want to get your thoughts on a construct that is seemingly under attack. The construct of marriage.
Ooh, okay.
The argument is... Let me hit this button, Trev. You know, well, before I tell you what they told me, what's your thoughts on it?
Okay,
generally speaking, the benefits, the costs, does it make sense, etc., etc.
All right, so you mentioned one of my favorite words, which is perspective. And listen, man, there's so many out here right now, and it's hard to understand where people are coming from. So you got to do a lot more listening than talking to really learn, and people just have to understand that part. As far as marriage is concerned, right? And a lot of people are like, hey man, you kind of wild because you are a married man, but then I see you come out with videos that the first words are men should boycott marriage. And the reason I say that is because the way that things are right now. So if you're looking at the way marriage is constructed, right, there's really no benefit for men. And maybe I shouldn't say no benefit, but there's minimal benefit to where it's to the point where the juice is not worth the squeeze, because what you have to gain, is it worth the risk? And that's the problem. So we have countless men who are losing everything, right? You're losing your 401k, you're losing half your pension, you're losing everything that you built for your whole life. And the woman who you're with is not required to provide any of the services post marriage, whereas you are completely liable sometimes for a lifetime. We're seeing some states that are kind of trying to move that, but that's because of the protests. And when I say boycott, it's not to the point where we say we won't deal with women anymore. It's just, I mean, marriage as it is on paper, because I still do push a spiritual marriage, the original marriage, whereas you had a covenant between you, your wife, and God. But making it legal is extremely risky. So that's where I stand on it. And and getting back to the boycott part, it's not to say no, we need to like ban this forever. When Rosa Parks boycotted the buses, she didn't boycott in order to never ride the buses again. She said, no, y'all are gonna have to fix these laws so it's suitable for us to get back on that bus. And that's what we want. We want the laws to be suitable for men to be able to feel comfortable getting back on that bus.
Okay. So, you know, the pushback question would be, does that make you hypocritical?
It could. Well, yeah, if you want to look at it like that, because I am married right now.
Are you married under the law of the
land? I am.
Okay.
I am. I've been married for a good 17 years now. So I'm married under the law, right? Okay. And we can't say that it won't work. So if you were to ask me a question, would you do that again? Then I would say yeah, because I feel like I was fortunate with who I ended up with. However, I don't feel like there's that many available today. And when I hear the voices of men, because a lot of men contact me, they'll see some videos and they'll be like, hey, man, this and this is happening to me. This and this is happening to me. So I'm like, damn, you know, it's a 50% risk just about that it's going to fail. And who would put all their eggs in a basket for something that's a risk of 50%? Right. So regardless of what I did, you could say it's hypocritical, but in my opinion, I'm able to see things objectively, because just because you see me doing something doesn't mean that I think it will work for everyone. It's me being open-minded enough to understand, like, okay, my situation doesn't work for everyone. And if I were to advise someone like my son the best way to do it, then I'm going to seriously be in that vetting process to see if that's something he wants to do. But at some point, for things to get better, men have to take a stand. Okay.
Gotcha. So one question that's is slightly off base, so I'm gonna ask that one after. Now, one of the pushback arguments would be less than 15% of these marriages end in alimony. The majority of couples work now, so the women work, the men work, and if there's no prenuptials agreements, everything is split down to the middle, including her assets if she has any. So the men that are sole providers is such a small minority population who is actually at risk in this way.
Yeah, so that's one important stat, but another important stat is the fact that it's near 90% of the men, not as a totality, but the people who pay alimony, it's still
men.
Just about 90% men who actually have to pay it.
Yeah, no, 100%. So out of the, let's say let's say in marriage cases, just so the people understand, right? Not saying they don't, but just to clarify, let's say out of the 10% that do have alimony, out of that 10%, 90% of that 10% are men, essentially. Yes. Right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And is that is because in those relationships, those men are the breadwinners, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so when we talk about the law, Trev, right? I just want to understand it. We saw it work when the woman is the breadwinner. As an example, Britney Spears. As an example, what's the one that she been the prettiest woman for a long time as black men are concerned? Halle Berry.
I know what happened with Halle Berry. It happened with Mary J. There's a few people who that happened to.
So I guess the argument is not the law, it's just the money, right? I guess the disparity in the incomes and whatever the case is.
Yeah,
because it seems like the law works when it works. What you think?
True, and I would also advise women to protect themselves. If you have many assets going into the situation, and you want to protect those, then you should, just the same as a man would.
Okay, and in terms of a prenup,
if you're going to go legally, if you're going to go with the law, but what I was suggesting is not even going with the law at all.
Okay, so what do you suggest? Like, how do they do it otherwise?
Okay, so like so you know how you can go get a spiritual marriage, right? Like the original marriage, how it was originated with the covenant between a man, his wife, and God. You don't have to get Uncle Sam involved.
Okay. The I guess that our entire construct, so I tend to agree, our entire construct is broken. Like, for instance, that covenant would be between a father, that man giving away his daughter, the whole 9 yards. How do we get back to that? A lot of our fathers are missing.
Yes, and that's the thing too. I think that's something that men actually have to do better, right? If you are going to marry, well, if you're going to have children, then you probably should be in a marriage, right? At least some form. If you're going to go that route, because we all know the statistics with that, the best outcome is a dual parent household. So I don't want to take away from that at all when I say that. I'm just saying leave Uncle Sam out of the business. Okay.
Man, so what do you do with such a largely secular population in that instance? Right, so like
it's tough.
Right, because we got the God knows my heart mantra now, right? So people can seemingly do what they want as long as they say they have this personal relationship. So would these covenants really mean anything if people aren't even invested in God himself?
I don't think it would mean any more with Uncle Sam backing you.
Okay.
So we have a lot of work to do even before that. So even when you're talking about just having the children, you have to work together to do that. If you're not a cohesive unit, we're going to have issues.
Yeah. No, 100%. So Trev, let me ask you, just to clarify that point, with the kids, if a man wants to have kids, are you recommending marriage?
Yes, but not in the not legally. Yeah, exactly. Leave Uncle Sam out of it.
How would you recommend that couple gets the benefits that come with doing it under Uncle Sam?
Are you talking about tax benefits? And that's pretty much really the only benefit is the tax benefits.
And let's say an unfortunate or catastrophic events, right? Like I saw a couple that I know that the husband was compromised, but they weren't married under the law, and therefore his family was able to usurp her presence and authority. So when it came time to make the decision over his life, she had no say so.
Yeah, well, you still have to have things in order. You still have to have a will in order. You still have to handle your affairs, right? So I could leave everything to my dog if I want to. You can absolutely leave it to your significant other, even if you're not legally married. You just have to have that on paper, and there's not very much they can do about it.
Okay.
Family or otherwise.
So essentially, would they do like will and trusts, things like that?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you just have to be financially advised. So it's something that you have to go into knowing what you're getting into, right? You have to set these things up. And a lot of us, we just don't have these talks. We don't say, look, well, this is what's going to happen here. You don't have anything set up. Even if you're not having the talks, you should at least have these things in place. You have to have these things in place. You can't go into any situation without being prepared.
Yeah, 100%. So the one thing, right? Because we were having this conversation the other day, about how the recommendation for men is not marriage unless they have a kid, right? So you take the risk because the marriage under Uncle Sam gives you the rights to your child, right? They're assumed. When you're not married, you don't. Those rights aren't assumed in terms of parental rights. So how do we fix that if they don't get married under Uncle Sam? That man's still at risk when it comes to his kids, child support.
Absolutely, yeah. He's still you can't. There's no fight that we have for that right now, right? They're pretty much defaulted into women almost all the time, and that's with or without Uncle Sam's involvement. So even if you are married, you see what happens anyway.
Yeah,
9 times out of 10, they're awarded to the women.
Yeah, no, in an instance of like a divorce, you know, but like let's say, like you have a kid, right? Okay. Technically, that kid you can't kidnap him, right? Like when you have a kid and you're married, that dad has this much rights and parental rights to that child. So, yeah, you know, I totally understand keeping Uncle Sam out, but then when we tell the men to get married, if they're having a kid, you see where they're still in a conundrum, so to speak.
Yeah, they're absolutely. You know. So, if you were to do you think it would be very different though? Do you think it would be very different if they're married?
In terms of the child?
Yeah.
Well, their rights are confirmed already if you're married. So if you have a child with your wife, you have automatic parental rights, etc. When you're not, you often have to get those things established. So I guess that's the caveat.
That's the caveat. Mm-hmm. That's the caveat.
Yeah.
And another point I would make with that is that I feel like the way the marriage is constructed, it's almost incentivized, right? And if a woman has just as much to lose, it would behoove her to stay in that marriage. She would have more value for that marriage. But right now, the way it's constructed, it's incentivized. Like the new American dream is to get a divorce versus getting married. I think that a lot more people would cherish their marriages if they knew there wasn't an easy way out. You saw how the rates went up when we had the no fault divorce into play. People value their marriages more. They would actually stay in their marriges.
Okay. So you think no fault divorce is one of the things that's hurting?
One of the catalysts that started it. Yeah, for sure. Okay. The rates went up dramatically.
Okay. We had a conversation about no fault divorce. It's actually very interesting. Some of the different the points were one thing that was alleged. And let me get your opinion on this. In terms of it would be more dangerous for women, right? Because you have to approve why you could leave that marriage, right? And so would people be doing things intentionally to get out of marriages at that point? You know,
I don't think so. I think that there would be some people, but I don't think it would be overwhelming. Okay, so minority people. I think it would be minute. In all honesty, I feel like the no fault divorce was one of the main catalysts to start the way this culture is behaving right now.
Okay. Damn. All right, Trev, I'm gonna leave room for when we drop the link.
Okay. Yeah, I'm expecting a little pushback on that.
Yeah. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. We touched on the kids, Trev. Let me get your opinion on this.
Okay.
A child is born. The father leaves. The child comes up to be a poor citizen. We understand that the statistics associated with single mother-led homes are not great. You know,
true.
Like the prison population, as an example, largely comes from single mother-led homes, right? That's just one of the things. Who's more at fault for that child coming up to be not such a great citizen? The father who left or the mother who stayed and raised them?
I would say it'll fall down into an individual basis, right? Because It's not like all men are responsible for making relationships fail. Neither are women. So it would be the person who started that bickering or whatever caused them to leave. So it can be either way. I wouldn't isolate it down to men or women. I think it's more so on an individual basis. But as men, we have to be responsible for who it is that we allow our seeds to go into. You can't just go out here raw diggity and expecting everything to be cool and then leaving it on her like, oh, you're going to keep it. No, you've already made your choices. And I've even heard pushback about men should have some type of choice when it comes to a child being born. But I'm like, you made a lot of choices already to get to that point. You made a choice by choosing that woman to lie with. You made a choice by going raw diggity. And then you also made another choice by shooting the club up. And then now you want to talk about choices. What we doing? You just have to be more responsible about it. You have to take when you meet women, you have to look at them as if, listen, is this someone that I want to spend the rest of my life dealing with, even if I'm not going to be with her, but co-parenting or whatever. And if that's not a go, then don't give her your seed and expect her to fix it later.
All right, Trev. Now, the brothers. Hold on, I'm choking this. the brothers overwhelmingly disagree with that, Trev. They're saying that the women give access to sex, so she needs to make sure you put a condom on your penis. And you should still have a choice because you weren't going to have sex with her to have a child. You were having casual sex. What do you think about that?
I think it's crazy to call it casual sex and you going raw dog. I think that's crazy. There's very few men who actually had a situation where they strapped up and then ended up having children that they didn't want. It almost never happens. So I think that's bogus, because once you do that, you don't know what her religious beliefs are. You don't know how she feels about it. Once the baby starts to grow inside of her, it's a different bond that they have. And it's hard to tell them that you don't want to be, if you don't want to be a part of it, it is what it is. But to tell her that you can't have it now, you already gave it to her. Ain't no backsies, bro. It is what it is. You gave it to her already. You can't.
So Trev, is your sentiment? I just want to make sure it's clear, and I think it already is, right? Maybe this is from my implication, that the man is making his choice about whether or not to have a kid as soon as he decides to go raw. That's his choice being made right then?
Absolutely. Because you have the option of not doing that because you know what the consequences are going into it. Why should we, it's not like it just happens, right? It's extremely difficult for a woman to take it from you. You have to cooperate. You know what the potential consequences are once you go raw, especially shooting the club up, which is what happens most times when you go raw. So it's like, what are we doing? Why are we saying now, like, oh, now I'm going to tell you what you need to do? You already gave it up. You already gave it up.
Damn. Okay. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna leave room for that one. Now, I need
somebody wrote that down. I get it.
Just because your take, it is your take for sure. To go back though, because I want to get clear. So one thing that we generally don't use is some. Not saying you use some, but I wanted to clarify the initial answer on the child. The child coming up with an absent father, a single mother. That child comes up to be not a great citizen. Who's to blame? We understand things are case by case, right? But generally speaking, is it the man that left who did the most damage, or the mom that is raising the child?
Well, okay. So so I'll say this.
Okay.
I don't feel like women are as equipped to raise children by themselves as men are. So if that's the problem, and the numbers just say that, the numbers support that data. That's all I'm going by. This isn't about feelings. This is about the data. And the data suggests that statistically, women are not as good at raising children as men are, generally speaking.
Okay. So, and is that because single father-led home results are similar to nuclear results?
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I say that. And I think that the main component is the discipline. Fathers are better disciplinarians, and they have that structure. Right. Okay. And unfortunately, females are overwhelmed when they have to work, because most single mothers have to work by them. They have to work, and then they have to find a way to raise a child and run a house. And in my opinion, women aren't designed to do most of those things. So when it's a burden. So I don't really like to say fault, but that's just the facts. That's what happens when you have a single mother case.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Trev, let me ask you this. The number is, as compared to single mother-led homes, single father-led homes, would you agree that the number is nominal, just in terms of the percentages? Like single father-led homes are, what's the percentage? Is it like 5%? Like it's a small number.
It's I think it's like anywhere from 5 to 10%. So it's minimal. It's minimal.
Pretty tight, right? So there's a stat. Let me see what you think about this. And I just want to get your thought process on the number being so small, right? Interracial dating and marriages, right? Okay. I've seen women who, and I don't know if they're divestors, but they got jungle fever, right? They'll tout the fact that black women and white men have like the most success in interracial marriages, but it's also a very, very small number.
Yeah.
So does that matter? So I guess the sample size, does it matter? Or do we just take it like, okay, well, 10 of them doing good, right? Based on percentages, while there's a million of the other. You see what I'm saying? So
that's a good example, because it's atypical for white men to actually date black women in the first place. So I see where you're going with that. So I get it. So it can work, but you have to understand that even that stat matters, and I'll tell you why it matters. Okay, it's because the approach that black women take when dating out of their race is completely different than when they date someone within their race. And that, in my opinion, is because of how much they may value that person, right? So sometimes we pedestalize people outside of other races. Men and women are guilty of that. And whether you're pedestalizing or fetishizing, in my opinion, you get the same result. You value that person a little bit more. So that's why you would date better in that situation. So I think the stat actually does matter, because even though it's a small sample size, it's a sample size we have, right? And it's consistent, and it's been consistent.
So do you think that if the conduct changes, which is an entirely different a good caveat, can we use them to compare? So black marriages to black women and white men marriages, we can use that to compare and say this coupling, black women and white men, is definitely a better coupling because they have better results. Will we deduce that from those stats?
Well, I think the approach is different. Black women have the potential to make marriages with black men perform just as well. But because they don't value us as much as we would like them to, is the reason why most of them fail.
Okay, I understand that. I actually want to dive deeper into that. But in terms of the numbers, because they're saying they have higher success rates, even though the number's nominal, do we then concede that black women are better off for white men based on those marriage statistics?
Okay, so if you want to say they're better off,
well, just based on
statistically they are. But I completely believe it's because of the approach that they take. They're a lot softer. less masculine. That's just the approach they have with those men, or at least the women that seek those men.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just because I'm thinking through it. Also, I went through this with I don't know if you heard of Medium Man, but he's like a savant when it comes to these numbers, man. Salute to him.
Nice.
And I just wanted to because essentially with that, right, the reasons why are the only like where I just wonder, do we look at the father versus mother the same way or similarly? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's such a small number, and like, oh, y'all heifers changed y'all attitude. That's why it's going well, right?
Exactly. That is why. That is
so
why.
Now
in my opinion, it is why.
100%. We'll go down that road, and now I'm looking at this other number that's nominal, but it's used as a absolute. You see what I'm saying? Like the nominal numbers. Do we need to?
No, I get it. I get it. I get it. But that's the data we have, right? Even though it's a smaller sample size, it's consistent. That's the only data we have to go off of. The numbers are the numbers.
Okay. Damn. Okay. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. So I gotta ask Trev. Now what you mean? They treat the white boys better than us?
Oh yeah, I've been seeing it, man. It like that public displays of affection is just different. You see them, they just like so gentle and soft, and I don't be seeing that rah. None of that. They just be chilling, man. Like you're seeing rubbing their feet when they sitting down talking. Like it's just a different vibe. I'm like, damn, that's how y'all coming? That's how y'all coming? I got to see a lot of that. Shit, I was just on a cruise in Bermuda a couple days ago, and you saw a lot of salt and pepper. And yo, when I tell you that they just behave differently with them, they do. For whatever reason. But it all boils down to how much a woman's going to treat a man based on how much she values him. And a lot of people think that women are just a certain way, but this woman will treat you one way and treat me a whole nother way. You just have to understand that. So because of how they feel about that man, if they in love with that man, or they respect that man, they love that man, it's just going to be different.
Okay. So now here's what I'm thinking the pushback would be. What's the word they use? Chet. What's Tom Cruise son? Chet name. His name Chet or some shit. Chet, not Tom Cruise.
Don't get me the line.
What's the nigga that did Forrest Gump? What's his name? Oh, Chet Hanks. Right?
Hanks. Yeah.
Yeah, Chet Hanks. So what's the other boy that put Travis Kelce? Right? Is it because Travis treats them better, or do they just automatically code switch? I'm just thinking about the arguments that we would get.
Yeah,
Chad or Brad or Chet or whoever their names is, treat them better, value them, which is why they get a different response. What you think about that?
They might feel like that. So what I say is this: sometimes you get some bad experiences within your own, and then you just say, you know what, I'm gonna try something different, and it just might be a breath of fresh air. It's almost like the rebound game. So if you understand how that goes, like if let's say a woman's getting out of a breakup and this dude was verbally abusive, I beat it in the head in a good way. Like, hey man, yeah, you looking so good today. That right there, even though I could be a bum, I could have no money, but just the one thing that I do that's completely opposite of what the last dude did is a breath of fresh air enough for them to attach themselves to that man. So I think that they're definitely getting something from these guys that they're not getting from us, right? Whatever that may be. And it's enough to sweep them off their feet. It's just different.
But what can a Brad do better than a Tyrone? Like what? It could be like, what can he?
Well, in that particular situation, it could be something as simple as finances. He might not bump heads with it the same, right? And a lot of people see. Let's say that a black woman was dating a black guy, right? But he was like a hood dude, and he was just out in the streets, he was loud, obnoxious. Maybe he hit on her. It could have been a bunch of things. She could have met, but she was attracted to that type and kept doing it until she got to the point where she said, I have to try something different. I want some different results, so I'm going to try something different. And then that situation that she ran into with that white brother, it was different. And not to say she couldn't have got that. It's not to say she can't get that from a black man, but just the black men that she was either attracted to or attracting was what it was. And you got to understand another thing, too. The expectations from white people and black people are different. Like, I could be a straight cornball and still bag a white girl easy. Right. But you can't do that with a sister. It is what it is. So that's why you see a lot of dudes who might have been rejected in high school or whatever that was just corny or just didn't have no swag will be able to go somewhere else and do really well. So the expectations from this white man will be completely different than what was expected of her from a black man.
Well, question, is it expected of her what she expects from him? So what I got from what you just said, and correct me if I'm wrong, is essentially he don't have to meet the metrics that the black man has to meet. Brad can be he can be white for all intents and purposes. He don't have to have the edge and shit like that. He just got to exist, while a black man has to meet these metrics.
Absolutely. So that even goes within the culture, right? So metrics, that third date thing, all these boundaries that are in the way are for men that women don't like, right? So I don't have, like, you know how it go. Like, let's say you go out with a chick. You don't have to even pay for her half the time. It don't matter. She just want to be with you because you a vibe. But that dude who she's not really attracted to, that might have pushed up on her, she gonna make sure she make him wait. She gonna make sure he got to have swag. He got to dress a certain way because she not really feeling him like that. So she finds a bunch of reasons to eliminate, bro. You ever experienced that where you might be able to date the same type of chick somebody else just could not get a grip on? Right. And you really had to do nothing. There's no gatekeeper. There's no boundaries, nothing in the way. She was ready to get it popping with you. But the dude who she didn't like that much, she required more of him. Rules are meant for men that women don't like.
Damn. Say that again.
Rules and boundaries are meant for men that women don't like.
God. That seems backwards, Trev.
There's a lot of shit that's backwards right about now.
Break that down, man. Hold on, man. I know you just gave me an example. You said, have you had this experience? I'm like, okay, I've definitely seen it where I've seen a cat work or like, at the time, way back when, she'll get home from a date and be like, hey, what you doing?
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Those requirements are not for you because she was feeling you. Those requirements were not for you.
You walk in and she got a bag from STK and the steak's still half warm. And then you eat. I usually end up eating it, and then
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get the doggy bag. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly it. And a lot of people don't take that into consideration. And this ain't something that I made up. It's been said before, right? I've experienced it. I've seen it in real life. I had one of those videos up when I had the hoodie joint, and I went. That was the perfect situation where that happened. Where we chilling. I was the D supplier pretty much. But she actually was getting on bro like, yeah, man, he be giving me money. He's stupid. When that hit me, bro, that resonated for a lifetime, bro, because I kind of had a grip on, female nature and different things. But when that just hit different, the way that came out, I was like, yo, this is crazy. It really just, it gave me a whole new perspective on how I should behave. It changed me forever.
I'm gonna play this for them, Trev, because I think you did an awesome job just articulating it now. but I'm gonna play this just to make sure we cover it cleanly, and then we can expound on it some more. You know,
got you. Of awakening, true story. So back in the day, me and one of my homegirls, we're basically buck buddies. So we're cruising around, probably going to the telly, most likely. She gets a call. And I'm like, yeah, you already know what this is. Go ahead and answer that. Whatever. She's like, no, I'm not picking up for him. And she commences to tell me, yeah, this dude, he be giving me money. He's stupid. I'm literally buffering right now. Wait. So this guy gives you good morning text, tells you he loves you, gives you time, motivation, attention, and money, and gets nothing. So me, I give minimal effort, don't care, and get to smash. This is how supervillains are created. You got one guy who's doing everything that a woman would ask you to do, and he's stupid. And the guy who does absolutely nothing gets to score. And women wonder why they can't find a decent guy that does decent things. Stop rewarding bad behavior. You are literally creating monsters every day. Stay hungry, my friends. Never thirsty. My moment of awakening. True story. True. Man. Wow. So with that, it's actually a lesson to women, to be honest, right? Because you should have those same requirements for guys that you like, right? Of course, there's a caveat to that, because you may not have as much access to those guys, because those particular guys are guys that many women desire. So as humans, we usually take the path of least resistance. So that's the caveat. But if you're patient enough and you have enough going for yourself and you are pure enough, then you wouldn't have as much as a hard time acquiring one of those men.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Who's the monster that they're creating? The man who has to work for it, realizes that he's being bamboozled and hoodwinked, and he turns into something different, or the man that has access with no effort? Who's the monster, or the woman that's doing it to both of them? Both of them,
you're creating a monster. So in that particular instance, I was talking about myself. You created a supervillain, right? Because it's like, you know, when I was younger, I didn't behave like that at all. It was sugar and spice and things that's nice. That's what I was taught as a young person. I was taught, you know, appreciate women and this and that. And I can't blame my parents, because they ain't had no game like that. They were from Guyana, South America. So that the whole dynamic was completely different, right? I was born here, but based on what I learned in my household, it was culture shock when actually dealing with women. And it took me a very long time to find my way. I found my way in my later teenage years, like about 15, 16 is when I started to learn how to navigate with women. But before, I did everything that a woman would ask you to do, and it never really panned out. Like, they didn't really care, you know, he's corny, he's doing too much and this and that. But so I came up with a crazy experiment. I said, you know what? I took responsibility and said, you know what? I'm gonna hold myself accountable. I'm doing something very wrong here, right? So with that, if I want better results, then I must improve. So what I did was I said, listen, I'm going to date a lot of women, right? So just so I can have a better sample size. So I dated plenty of women, and as a result, or a byproduct, I didn't have as much time to pay attention to those women as I would when I was invested in one. Okay. And unfortunately for them, it made them attracted to me more. Right? So the less time, the less effort that I put in, the more they were attracted to it. And I'm like you said before, this is bass backwards, right? You like, whoa, what's going on? Why is this working? So I actually found out by mistake that this actually worked in the dating world, which is crazy because it shouldn't work like that. But when you don't have the time and effort to deal with them like that, a lot of times they're all over you. And it's unfortunate. Women have to do a better job of investing in people who are investing in you, and men also too, because that's pretty much what I was doing.
Okay. Do you think that once you found that out, in terms of dating, right? Not the holistic, not everything that defines Trev Smoove, but dating specifically. Do you think that made you a better or worse man for all intents and purposes?
Worse.
Mm,
Worse. It made me worse. It made me worse. It took me years later to actually find a balance, right? And that's the main thing. I went from one extreme to the next. Eventually, growing up and finding better people to deal with, I ended up finding some type of balance where you know what to do. And another thing that I've learned is to deal with women who are attracted to you naturally. Never, ever chase women. Do not pursue women. Like, it's okay to do a cold approach. It's okay to talk. It's okay to get the conversation going. I would never say men should shy away from speaking to women. But if you feel like she doesn't text you as much as you text her, if she doesn't call you as much as she's not checking for you, then you got to fall back. So the main thing I encourage men to do is to date women who are interested in you by default. Like, if you have like medium to low level interest, then you probably should avoid those women because you're going to have to work too hard to win her. And if you do, you're not going to have respect in a relationship. And if you don't have respect, she can't possibly love you. And it's all downhill from there. So your best bet is to date women who are attracted to you. And if you are not able to attract those women who you are attracted to, then you're going to have to improve on something. You either going to have to hit the gym more. You're going to have to get some more finances going. You're going to have to tighten up, keep your shape up some, get your skin right, whatever it is that you might be lacking. You have to have the ability and the self-awareness to say, look, all right, let me examine myself and see what I can do better. Once you do that, women will start getting in your way.
Okay. So here's what I see in the earth, Trev. I understand that, right? I understand the sentiment. I've heard different renditions of it. I think that was a clean rendition, right? I DJ, and so I'm out in the earth. I know you used to also, right?
Yeah, Technique 1200s, man. You already know.
Indeed.
Shit like that.
So I'm looking in the earth, right? I'm DJing. Usually we a little bit elevated, right, in the club, and I see the men just sitting back, just not engaging. Right, they're not going over to the 4-girl circle anymore, right? The young boys tell me it's risky out here because of how the women respond to you, or the Me Too movement, just all these things. They like, hey, we can't use the chopper like y'all used to. We have to snipe. We have to go through Instagram and etc. What I hear, maybe because I have an old school mentality, is this.
This nigga's scared.
That's what I hear, but I've been leaning towards it's probably more than that. But when we looking around and we tell them don't chase, are they taking it as don't pursue? Because I hear those two as two different things. What you think?
Absolutely. So, contrary to popular belief, I'd be outside. So I've definitely witnessed what you've seen. I've witnessed what you've seen. Everybody holding a wall up at the club, and it's ridiculous. And it doesn't happen everywhere, but far too much, because I never used to see that when I was going to party. When I DJ back in the day, when you DJ back in the day, everybody was mixing it up. It's different now. And we can't say that fear isn't a part of it. Right. Men, it's a scary thing, because who the hell wants to be rejected? Right.
Yeah.
Unless you sat there and played the numbers game and really ran it up and then got yourself conditioned to rejection, then it is what it is. Right. And one thing that I've learned with that is I got my rate to about close to 90% of at least being able to get the number, because you are able to do what you were saying now, be a sniper. We're not running out here with the AKs no more. And the reason I was able to do that is because I learned about body language. So if you wasn't giving me choosing signals off rip, then I wasn't even going to approach at that point. It had to be something to where, okay, I know I could go get that, because otherwise, why waste your time? Why waste your time? If you're not attracted to me, then I'm not even interested in pursuing you anyway. So I will say that fear is a part of it. Some people are scared. Some people are gun shy. They just don't want to go out there and face that rejection. Now, there's more to it. We got the sniping thing happening. That's something that men are just becoming more selective as to what they approach, because the numbers game ain't really going to do you any good. You only need one good one. So we don't have to play the numbers game. We've learned more to not waste our time. We just really, it's annoying sometimes, man, because a lot of times you got these gatekeepers, that group of four you talking about is one of them things. You usually have one girl is about it, and another girl with her or two that just don't really care. They're gonna go whichever way is swaying, and then there's the piranha of the group, the one like, oh, she gotta go, oh, come to me with the bathroom, or all of that getting in the way. She got a boyfriend, all this extra stuff. That gatekeeper, that piranha, will shut it down. And unless you got like a whole squad to really neutralize that piranha, then you're just gonna fail anyway. It was never a thing for girls to be dancing with girls in a club. They're doing a bunch of things to repel men at this point. So I see why it became like that. I definitely would not say that it's because of the men. Outside of the few who might be fearful because of the way things are right now, but women dictate that. If women are more inviting, you think that men damn sure ain't gonna be out there pushing up? Of course they would, but the women have to invite the pursuit in the first place. And if you go to, and we don't expect you to be like that when you in the street and everything, but if you in a social gathering, you in a club, what you there for? You know what I mean? Okay. What are you there for?
Yeah, 100%. I have to be more empathetic towards it for sure, because coming from the East Coast, it's like, man, shit. They don't be smiling. They be talking, and it just like it is what it is. Like you gotta penetrate that force field. But I guess I understand it now. Question: you said some, so I just want to clarify: is it the majority of the men now who are sniping, or is it the minority of men who are sniping, and the majority are just afraid to approach?
That's a hard one to say, man, because I to be honest, I think that most men just don't want to be bothered with the types of females that they're running into. If I had to guess, I would say that I think, just from what I hear from people that I talk to, which could be wrong, but in my opinion, I feel like most people just don't want to be bothered with it. They want something, but they don't see anybody who's going to be inviting. They don't see anybody who wants to cooperate. Nobody who's giving them choosing signals. Nobody shooting you rocks. It's like, damn, it's another bum night at the club. So you hoping that you can go, yeah. And the only time I'm gonna tell you, like, the only time you pretty much guarantee the numbers, like when the ratio is crazy, like 10-1 women. You know what I'm saying? Like, then you know, like, oh, okay. The women behave differently when there's a whole bunch of women and not enough men. But because women are looking to see and make sure that they can get the best dude out of there. They want the most popping dude out of the bunch. Women, as far as the sexual marketplace is concerned, are not as interested in dating regular average guys. So a lot of dudes literally just will not qualify according to the new metrics that women have set. Unfortunately.
Wow. Man. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. See, I had a different question, but we do discuss this metric or these metrics often, right? That women have this new standard because seemingly it comes from the attention that they can now receive from things like social media, as an example, right? Where you get confirmation bias on your algorithm and who's double tapping your pictures, right? So a 4 will think she's a 7 because people will like her pictures whenever she points her ass towards the camera, right? The dopamine hits. Is that fair in terms of the conversation?
Absolutely. There's a couple things that happen. First of all, flights got really cheap, and you have a lot more access than local. You have global access right now. You could get flown out to Dubai if you want. You get flown out to LA if you want. You get flown out to Paris if you want, and meet any type of dude that you find attractive, super attractive. Like, oh, okay, this is what I want to deal with. So once a woman gets a taste of that, that's their type. It's very difficult for them to be able to revert back to reality, quite frankly, and understand that where you really stand. And a lot of women, are having problems discerning the difference between sexual attention and someone trying to court you for marriage, because the game is the same just about. And that's on us as men for presenting it the same, because a lot of dudes are not always transparent about what it is they're trying to do. They'll do whatever they need to do to get the draws, and then and keep it moving. So the game is the same by the men, and good luck trying to stop that. I don't men are going to do that. And you got to understand the dudes, even the dudes that are considered to be 10s, they're not going to just stay with 10s. They're going to go the 9s, the 8s, the 7s. On a humbug might hit a 3 just because it's low hanging fruit, and they trying to get one off real quick. So once a female gets a taste of that, they feel like, oh, okay, well, man, I got all these dudes in my DMs. You don't even got to get out of bed and get attention. I got all these dudes in my DMs. I could get any one of those. What am I gonna mess with this regular dude for? I'm messing with a bunch of dudes with money. Eventually, I'm gonna sink my teeth into one of those. I'm gonna catch them slipping or whatever. So women have access to these type of dudes. So it makes it a lot more difficult for the average man, which they really would line up with their taste anymore.
So Trev, here's one thing that this is my speculation, is that what you laid out, which is one the argument, I think you laid it out well, is that's hyperbole. So when I did my due diligence one day, right, I looked through all like just the regular women's Instagrams, right? I'm going through my Instagram looking. They got 10 likes, bro. They got 7 likes. All the regular women that I know that just out here working and chilling, they got 20 likes, 18 of them family members. I'm like, are we focused on, I guess the pool that we talking about getting flown out the vibe, that ain't them. At least not in my Instagram. And my Instagram is decently diverse, you know?
Did you check their DMs?
Nah, I ain't get to check the DMs. I just looking at the
there
likes.
It is. Like, there it is. Look, forget the likes. A lot of dudes are sliding. Listen, I've done the same thing. Quite a few.
Trev,
women,
hold on.
Right? And I've looked. I'm telling you.
Trev, I'm looking though, right? So boom, I'm like, okay, I'm going through 10 likes, 20 likes, 30 likes, 10 likes, 15. You telling me they DMs is popping?
A lot of them, the DMs is popping, bro. I promise you. I promise you the DMs is popping. Promise you. Okay. Promise you. And even if they're not using Instagram, which has became sort of a dating app, have you looked at some women's dating profiles and see how horrible it is over there? Because they're checking out those more. If you check out Tinder, Hinge, I don't want to shout out too many, but you know what I'm talking about. Listen, I promise you, I've seen some of theirs and they watched. I'm talking about hundreds. You as a man, if you are, let's say y'all are both 8s, if a woman's an 8 and a man's an 8, you can't get 10% of the attention that she gets. There's no way. No way. I promise you. Look at the dating apps. The dating app data. I did a whole video on that with somebody, man, and it is outrageous. Dudes are paying to be boosted, and it still ain't working. You got plate pirates out here just dating dudes just to get 3 free meals sometimes. Women are actually doing that. So because we make it so easy for them.
Yeah, you know, the dating apps are struggling too. I think men are getting the notion, like, yo, I'm just you know what I mean, a pay pig or whatever they call it.
We're not getting results.
Certain men are getting selected. You know, like the one Bumble, I think, went bankrupt, if I'm not mistaken. That's the one where the women have the message.
Women
first.
Choose you. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that was a horrible idea because most of these dudes is not going to get on there. Because here's the problem with that: most of the men are paying. There's some women who do pay to get boosted, but not even close. Not even close to the amount of men. Most of the money is generated from men, and if men are not getting the results, why would they continue to pay for an app that doesn't work? They'll try another one, and then eventually just opt out, just like how they're opting out at the club, opting out of everywhere else, because unless you're insane, you're not going to continue to try the same thing over and over expecting a different results. At some point you're going to say, nah, this ain't working, man. I forget it, I'm off. And I talk to a lot of dudes who are on there, a lot of women, and the results are completely different. Nobody finds exactly what they want, but women have so much more access to men. It's a shame.
Yeah. Before, right, you were dating proximity. Now the world, you know what I mean, is your oyster for all intents and purposes.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I just, because I was just looking at it, man. I'm just like, the amount of likes don't necessarily measure up, but at the same time, if people are interested, you keep liking her pictures, it's obvious, right? As opposed to just hitting the DM and see what manifests from there. So that makes sense.
Yeah, a lot of dudes just slide because they don't want everybody to know what they're doing. They'll try to do a sneaky.
Yeah.
And most of the dudes will start conversations. Here's an Instagram trick that they use. They'll do it from a story because a story ends up as a DM. So what they'll do is just say anything on there. They might throw an emoji, anything simple. They just say something about the story. So it looks like you're commenting on the story versus just sliding a DM. Now you got a whole DM action going on just like that. So once she might like or whatever, now you started a conversation, slid in the DM through the stories. That's the back door.
The way, okay, because if you comment on a story, it goes into a DM, right?
Yep, exactly. That's the trick. That's the trick.
Okay, that makes sense. So one thing I want to understand, Trev, is the standards that we kind of talked about. So they have the standards. They have these additional dopamine hits, the DMs, a bunch of access. So do the women become delusional, or is it just that they're raising a standard based on what they now have access to, and then those standards don't mean anything to the men they actually want? Is that the sentiment?
So I wouldn't say it's to the point of delusion, right? Okay. Some women, yes, but I wouldn't say the majority of women are delusional about it. It's just
so the majority aren't delusional.
Yeah, I wouldn't say delusional. That's a strong word when you say delusional, because dudes are kicking legit game, right? So they're tricking them, they're falling for it sometimes, but dudes are kicking legit game. If women just have that much access to men, why would they settle for dudes that are subpar to what they're used to, right? As a man, you're going to try to get the best woman possible, right? You're not going to just say, look, if I could get a dime, what I'm going to get a 5 for, right? You might hit a 5, but you're not going to try to stay with a 5. If you feel like you have access to 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s, you're going to aim for those. So it's the same thing. Women have access to them. And even though it just might be sexual access, game is the same.
Okay. So essentially, it's not delusion. It's the discernment as to what that man wants.
Yes. Okay. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And the fact that they don't have the same requirements for the men they really like. So they'll easily fall into a lot of situations.
So are they not, are they not, do women not vet the men that they really like?
No, not generally. No, generally speaking, no. All those rules go out the window. You know how it feels when a woman really like you. You could get away with damn near anything. And that's the problem. Women have to stop letting men get away with everything if that dude ain't serious about you. And I feel like you should do everything in your power to make sure that man is good. But it has to be reciprocated. As a partner, man or woman, you need to demand that this person is reciprocating. They have to like you as much as you like them, or at least close to it. When you start to pursue people that ain't your speed, you punching outside of your weight class, you're going to have issues every time. That's why men get into issues. That's why women have issues. Sometimes women are punching outside of their weight class, and that's a big problem. You're dealing with dudes that really won't value you as much as a regular man would, or your average man would.
So the state of our relationships, I think it's what do we as black people, 30% married? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's close to that.
Our divorce rate is 50%. 70% of our kids are born, out of wedlock. Not to say that all that 70% don't have a father figure. I think out of the 70%, 52% don't have a father figure, right? Just to, I'm not saying we're talking about that, but just generally speaking. So the state of our affairs aren't great. So what's the overarching issue? Like the punching out of the weight class, not staying within our station. Is it the conduct? Because we kind of touched on all these things. Our relationships are in shambles. So what's the
reason why it's in shambles? The reason why it is in shambles is it's not one problem. It's because it's a multitude of issues. That's why. So if every single thing that you just mentioned is something that we have to work on, right? Just like if you're talking about a man getting better, he can't just say, all right, I'm gonna get to the money. You still corny. You ain't gonna get nobody. You have to work on your charisma. You have to work on your look. You know what I'm saying? So there's a multitude of issues that we have to respond to, right? We have to first and foremost get the respect. Men need to respect women. Women need to respect men, right? So, but in order for that to happen, we have to be respectable, right? So we just have to be more serious about what it is that we're doing in life, right? Picking a partner is a major thing. It's one of the most, if not the most important decision you're going to make in your life, right? It can either make or break you. If you get a really good partner that supports you and y'all on the same page with things, you're going to have a beautiful life. But if you don't, you get with that wrong person, you got for them for the wrong reasons, then you're going to have countless issues. But there's so many things we need to do. It starts with respect. And we also have to be able to self-reflect. A lot of us don't realize where we stand in the sexual marketplace. We think that we can obtain something that may not be as realistic for us to manage. It's almost like buying a foreign car. You go ahead and buy you a Benz if you want to, right? And maybe you cashed out, you went and you got it. But do you have what it takes to maintain that car when those brakes go and it's not 300, it's 1800, right? When you got to do a tune up and now you need 4,000. We have to understand that some of these things are going to be harder for us to maintain. And it's extremely easy for women to obtain a man. It's extremely difficult for them to retain a man.
Okay.
And it's different requirements for that.
I got you. So what is the... Okay. So I understand the issues that plague us. But who's at fault? Because what you laid out, like, who's at fault? I know it's case by case, but just in your estimation, who's at fault? Are the men fucking this up? Are the women making it too difficult? Like, what's going on?
So, short answer is we all are. There's things that both sexes can do to improve. We could say we could blame it more on women if we want to, but do we want to alleviate the responsibility from us while doing that? Isn't that just going to be a detriment to the success that we both desire? Right. So it's all about control what you can control. There are things that women have to do. You have to vet better. You have to be more careful when you're selecting these men. You have to go after them for the right reasons. You have to make sure that you are morally aligned. You respect this person as someone you're attracted to, someone that you can see yourself with long term, versus just getting somebody because they a vibe. Don't waste your time in your 20s. And I think if we're going to, let's stay on women for a second. One of the main issues is that women aren't very serious about getting married until they're outside of their prime value, right? So if your value in the sexual marketplace is at its highest when you're up to like 25, then it starts to dwindle slowly. But a lot of women are, trying to have a hot girl summer between that time. They're more career oriented. And we don't say you have to shy away from that, but you have to bring that same energy into a relationship. Women don't respect how difficult it is to actually obtain a man that will be good for them long term. They don't put that energy into it when their value is at its peak. It's important. And women and men have to understand that our peaks are different. Men, your peak is going to be 35 to maybe 45. That's going to be your peak, right? And it's arguable a little here and there, but that's generally where your value is because you are more established. You have wisdom. You're more likely to be a solid leader at that time. And that's general, right? But that's things that we have to understand when you should be seeking a relationship, when you should be serious about it. And I feel like women should be a lot more serious about it when they're younger, because that's when their value is at its highest. So why would you wait until later on when it's going to be more difficult for people to take you seriously? If you're like late 30s and 40s, dudes worried about having children, and they're like, I don't know. Do I really want to do that? I might have a geriatric pregnancy. And you know what I mean? Like, women who have youth are more valued. That's just the facts, right? Men from 18 to 88 are going to tell you that the most attractive women are up to 25. That's just the cold hard facts. So while you have that value, I think that you should be most serious about it. Right. And you watching girls like, Sex in the City and Girlfriends, and not to mention what social media has done. And it makes it look like you can just go ahead and cite Sierra's prayer, throw a buzzer beater and win the game. But it doesn't really work out like that for most of us.
Okay. So if I couple all that with the reasons as to why marriage is dangerous for men, all intents and purposes, until the line of thinking changes around it, men getting, whatever happens, and then women having access to so many men, therefore they don't see the men right in front of them, or see average men as viable partners, just because you use that word, so I want to be consistent.
Yeah.
Where the culpability, just based on everything, seems to lie more percentage wise with the women, in terms of being culpable as to why our relationships aren't working. But also, you haven't had a chance to lay out where the men are the issue. But just based on everything we talked about thus far, it sounds like the women are more culpable in why we aren't together.
Well, that's why I started there. So,
okay,
let's get into what men could do better first, right?
Okay.
One, we have to understand what it is to be a man, right? There's a lot. I feel like masculinity is falling. I think it's through the help of modern day, this perversion of feminism that exists right now, and saying it's okay to be soft and it's okay to, cry all the time and be in touch with your feelings, and a whole bunch of things that just aren't natural to men and masculine behavior. Is pushed right now. That's what's pushed to the forefront. You see men painting their nails and they get all the attention, wearing pocketbooks and dresses and a whole bunch of things that are the opposite of masculine. And we're encouraged and praised for being feminine, right? So the first thing we need to do is maintain our masculinity, understanding what that means to be a man, right? It's about being responsible. It's about holding yourself accountable. It's about being a protector. It's about just understanding what your duty is and accepting your duty as a man. Those are things that we need to do a lot better. We have to be more serious about it. We have to cut out video games. I think video games and X-rated videos are part of the downfall, right? And I'm not saying they're not cool for you to watch with your female or something. You get a flick, whatever. But sitting there watching by yourself and, doing what you do, I think that's weird, and we got to cut it out. Video games absorb so much of your time. I know, because I wasted a good portion of my teenage years playing around in video games. And we're not saying, okay, it may be on a weekend, you put an hour here, hour there, but for you to be spending hours at a time where you could be producing, where you could be active, where you could be in the gym, where you could be actually contributing to society, something positive, and you're wasting your life on that, we got to chill, right? A lot of us are scared to go ahead and get a part-time job, right? Or feel like, well, I'm doing enough. Man, if you're trying to get it, go out here and get it. There's nothing wrong with owning your own. It's things that we have to do to be leaders, right? We don't accept that responsibility. We just watch things happen sometimes. It's a lot that we have to do. For us to be able to attract women, we got to be a serious man. We have to be doing what we need to be doing. And a lot of us just shy away from responsibility. And it's encouraged for us to just be docile and chilling and having fun and not doing anything beyond recreation, partying, smoking all day. I'm like, come on, man. What we doing?
Okay. Damn. And you think most black men are doing that?
No, it's not most, but far too many. Far too many.
You think it's a minority?
Far too many. I'd say the majority of us can absolutely use improvement and should begin to become a lot more serious about what it is that we need to be doing as men, contributing to society. We should be concerned about a legacy, and we shouldn't just be watching things happen. I do think most men are okay with being average. I think that most men are okay with and it's understood that most of us will be average, right? But why not try to be better? Why not try to do better? Why not put another notch on your belt? Why not step it up? And I don't think enough of us do that. I think that the majority of us are complacent. I'll say that. I think the majority of us are complacent and could be doing better. And it's not a bad thing, right? Because some people are satisfied with that, but why not? Why wouldn't you want to do better in life? Why wouldn't you want to be more comfortable for you and your family?
Okay. So do you think they throw YouTube in that pot?
As far as
video games, sitting on the internet all day, etc.
Oh, watching YouTube? Yeah. So we have to be careful as to what we do with YouTube. Sometimes YouTube could be extremely constructive, right? I learned how to change my first toilet sink. I've changed a bunch of cars. I dropped a trans from YouTube, right? There's a lot of things that you can do on YouTube that are constructive. I learn about things, man. I can sit here and talk to you about Kepler for hours, right? Like I'm into that. I'm into the space thing. I'm into learning. I'm into politics. So there's a lot of things that you can do to learn and improve. A lot of people don't even like to read. You can sit here and listen to something. You can listen to books. So YouTube can be constructive, but a lot of us are using it for things that aren't constructive, right? When it's pure entertainment. I think that's part of it. Conversations like what we're having here today, some of these panels, I think it is good to include some of that because it's good to keep your ear to the streets. It's good to understand what's going on in society. So we kind of need a little bit of it, but everything in moderation.
Okay. So you did say you can play a video game here or there. Now, what about the brothers? So interesting fact, and I assume you'll understand this. The top four, out of the top 10 Mortal Kombat players, right? 5 of them are black. And they make it a career. They're pro players for all intents and purposes. So they play Mortal Kombat. I don't know what they do in their off time, but you win a tournament, a couple $100,000. They get endorsements, et cetera, et cetera. What about those opportunities? Do we forego them, or do you know? Like, how do you navigate that?
Okay, so I would say similar to like if you want to be a professional ball player, right? Most of us will never have the opportunity to do that. If you put in the work from young and you're that good, cool. But after a certain point, it's like, all right, I ain't going to try to do this. If you're 35 years old, I don't expect to see you trying to start a professional video game career, right? It's almost like balling. By the time you're like 18, 19, it's either going to happen for you or it won't. So I would say we should have the same standard for that. If you're approaching 20 years old, you're not that good, you're not beating tournaments, you're not making it a career, you're not that popping, then nah, I wouldn't suggest that you do that. I wouldn't.
So you're saying it's like when your man come, he 35, 38, he's still trying to be a rapper.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, my nigga, like,
yeah,
it's over.
Yeah, it's over. At a certain point, we're like, okay, we got to hang it up and try something a little more realistic. I'm not that good at it as I thought I would have been, and I'm just going to chill. I'm going to do something more realistic.
What you think about the surge of like animation? What you think about men watching Dragon Ball Z and X-Men, and there's a whole bunch of other ones? Like, what you think about going to Comic-Con, shit like that? I'm just interested based on the track we on.
Some things that I never got into, right? I never got into it, right? So I think it's good for everybody to have a hobby, right? It's cool to have a hobby, but it's behind you producing. So you made sure you produced enough to make sure you are comfortable, very comfortable. Make sure your family is comfortable. Once you get to that point, whatever you do with your leisure time is what you do. I ain't here to judge nobody for what they do with their leisure time, but just make sure you took care of work first. Whatever you do, just make it your spare time. Don't make it a lifestyle. If you in an anime is a lifestyle, then I'm like, come on, bro, what are we doing? Right? Like, don't devote that much of your time to something that's not giving back to you. That's the main thing. I don't believe in investing times into things that are not giving back to you. Anything that I invest my time or effort, energy into is giving back to me in some shape or form. Things that don't give back to you, you have to limit your time doing.
Okay, 100%. Nah, I get that. So anime included. So on Sundays and Thursday and Saturday and Sunday, I watch football all day long.
Okay.
I'm yelling at the TV from 12 o'clock to 11 p.m.
All right, so that's so dig it, right? You get I say you want at least 5 days of work, right? That's one day. Okay, you get a day of rest, you get a day to do what you do. But outside of that, I'm sure you're producing like crazy. I see what your work ethic is. So you going hard. So you deserve your off time. You deserve your leisure. We're not telling men to go out here and work 7 days a week, but you should do 5 with no problem. If you ain't where you need to be, then you might want to start dibbling and dabbling in the 6 and 7 until you get to where you want to be as a man, right? So again, it's all about that balance, one of my favorite words, and moderation. So you taking a day out to do what you do is not taken away from you. You still likely living a comfortable lifestyle, still taking care of business, meeting your deadlines, doing everything that you expected yourself to do for the life that you are comfortable with. So if you get to that point, do what you want with the rest of your spare time. And if you are a hyper successful man and you've earned your leisure, then you go ahead and you do that. If what you do in one day, if you a day trader that's so badass at it that you can sit there and laze around for 6 days, so be it. As long as you are able to live a comfortable lifestyle for you and your family, you manage your time after that. But if you are not comfortable, if you can't take a few vacations, if your children gonna ask you for something and they say no, I mean, you got to say no, then yeah, you probably need to get it in a little more.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying that your primary focuses can't be things that don't give back to you, essentially. That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, the grind is real. You can sleep when you die, shit like that.
True. True.
Okay.
So true. That's one of my sayings too.
Yeah, I understand it. I tend to operate like that. I find that, other things, there's pros and cons to that type of attitude, but nevertheless, right, I think the benefits outweigh the cost is what the point is, man.
Absolutely.
Man, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Damn, Trev, I got like 2 or 3 more questions, but I want to also make sure I drop the link. I want to include people in the conversation. I think that the points we hit, especially that last one, especially in the mix of the men improving, the women improving, the state of our relationships. I am not a both or some or 50-50 person. Like, I like to kind of err on one side or the other. And let me acknowledge that I understand that we all have things to work on, right? In order for the state of our affairs to get to where we want them to be. I'm of the ilk, and this could be an older ideology, that men overwhelmingly are the leaders. Yeah. And so if I first hold myself accountable and give myself a standard and live by something, right, and something that I submit to, i.e., for the sake of the conversation, I'll use the word religion. Then when I go to my woman and ask her, here's the standard and guidelines, before she questions me, she'll be able to see my standards and guidelines. And in which case, then there's little excuse for her, because I have something I'm also held to that she can literally go read and see. You know what I mean? Got it. And then that's how things should shake out. So when we're having these conversations and they're telling me women control access to damn near everything, the whole relationship and etc., and if you get the box or not, and when you approach her, all you got to do is not fuck it up, and you'll get the cheeks. Like, we operating like a stunt double. You know what I'm saying? I get irked by it, but I understand it. I understand it, right? But it's a little bit bothersome to me. Do you think that men are the leaders? And I'm gonna drop the link here in a second.
I believe we should be the leaders, right? Now, you're only a leader if first you learned to follow first, and secondly, you have people following you. If no one is willing to follow you, then you are not a leader. And I think that is part of the problem, right? We've lost the trust in women at some point, right? And it's debatable why, but women don't trust us as much to lead anymore. And that's problematic. I think that that's one of the major issues. I can tell you certain things that are behind it. We absolutely know I'm coming right back to feminism again. And, women saying equal rights, we saying equal lefts. It is what it is. It's just one of those things where it's like, if she doesn't respect us enough to lead and she's going to second guess us, then you're heading on a path to self-destruction. It's impossible. I think that men are supposed to be the leaders. We take that responsibility. We don't have any problem doing that, but we need women to trust in us to take that leadership role. And it's not about who's the boss and this and that. It's about you trusting me to protect you and guide us through this situation, because masculine men are protectors. Masculine men are not here to harm women. They are here to protect women, to problem solve for women, to make your life easier. And women who are feminine are here to make our lives better as well. Women who love you will try to make your life easier, to take some of the stress that you face in the world every day off of you. Right. And it's that yin and the yang, man. We support each other. If it's done correctly, if you find that person who has that respect, admiration for you, then it'll be successful. But we have to take on that leadership role. It's up to us to prove ourselves as men at first. Once females size you up, I'll say this: women do a better job at vetting men that they don't like. I'll say that. Men they do like, they have some serious issues with that. But men that they are like on the fence about, they do a really good job vetting those men. They make sure that you have everything together. They make sure that you have good leadership qualities. They'll put you to the test, what they call a shit test, and they'll make sure that you are masculine enough to be able to stand up to them. First of all, that's the first test, and a lot of men fail that test by trying to appease women. If the most powerful word in the English language, I didn't make this up, is no. And sometimes telling a woman no, she understands you and you stand on it, then she's going to respect you, because women will test you, because if they feel like, damn, he can't even stand up to me, he will never be able to protect me against the rest of the world. And it doesn't mean you just fishing for no's, but sometimes women will deliberately ask you for something unreasonable or try to push you to your limit to see, what you're going to do. If you're going to actually be like, nah, that ain't it. You got to have some type of standards and backbones. And a lot of men are taught to appease women, sugar and spice, things that's nice. And it will hurt us in the long run.
Understood. So here's one of the understandings that we seemingly adopted. Women control access to sex. Men control access to relationships. You've heard that before?
I have heard that before.
What you think about it? Just based on everything you kind of laid out. I'm listening.
I do believe.
What you think?
I agree that women certainly control access to sex, but the person in the relationship, the two parties, the person who is more valued controls access to the relationship. Because we can't say that there's not a bunch of men out here that would love to have a relationship, but just get dated by women all day. We know that. There's men who yearn to be in relationships and can't get it. So we can't just say that women only control access to relationships. Or, I mean, men. Women do too. Because there's a lot of men looking for them. They've been trying to chase that woman for weeks, months, years, and can't get them. You've seen stories where you saw an old boy that graduated high school. He was all over this woman. She never wanted him. He became a millionaire. She came back to him. She controlled access to that relationship. He wanted it the whole time. She finally dogged herself out, got beyond her market value, and then said, hey, you know what? Oh, yeah, I'll get this dude. I'm here go my buzzer beater. She hit the Steph Curry on him. Got his ass.
Damn.
So I think it's the person who's more valued. It's not subject to sex in that particular case.
I see The doctor, what's his name? Boyce.
Oh yeah.
I was talking to Angry Man, salute the Angry Man, and he brought it up as an example where he was like, Boyce, the girl he wanted in college got with another cat, had a couple kids, divorced them, whatever, and he married her. And if most men don't even have access to and if most men, right, because if we just stay on the line of the points that we hear, right, Trev, most men don't even have access to women, right? Generally speaking, from the dating apps that you mentioned, it was like 80% of men are considered unattractive. And most men don't 80%
of us, man.
And then this the one that the brothers taught me. The average body count for a 34-year-old man was 8 bodies.
Sheesh.
So then, how does this man, the majority of us, right, control any fucking thing?
Exactly. And when you think about the bell curve, most of us as humans are average. So most men, right then and there, it proves that most men don't control access to relationships.
Jesus Christ, man. Let me drop this link, and I'm about to take me a shot, man. I can't take this. Like,
early.
Yo, I got to, man. My guys is out. Matter of fact, I got 2 crews out today. They already back. So once they get back, I'm like, all right.
I'm gonna get it in. I'm gonna get it in tonight. I got a birthday coming tomorrow, so I'm gonna be getting it in with the shots. I don't drink. I cut out about 90% of my alcohol intake, but tonight and tomorrow, don't check for me.
Hey, I'm gonna call you at 12, man, so we can take a shot. You feel me?
No doubt. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Damn, man. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read the super chats. Let me turn the chat back on so I can see. Man, hey Trev, you did a good job. Say
I appreciate it. I said I'm anxious to see if anybody turned up on me yet.
Yeah,
I know they be going. Yo, your squad be going hard, man. I know how it go.
Yeah, they would go to the chat. I'm sure they talking shit to me too. That's how I like it, though. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. Let me look. Let me look. See who talking shit. Oh, here go Mike. Mike say, Mike, hush, Mike. I'm asking the questions around here. God damn it. I'm not giving my opinion per se. And Mike, remember, I want the men to be the leaders. I hope that the men are the leaders. I think we are. Those are not affirmatives, man. Leave me alone, Mike. Let me read these super chats real quick. Jack with the $10 says, just wanted to be the... Oh, I read this one. Yeah. Harris saying, salute, my brother. Appreciate you, my G. Tezzy with the $2 says, it also says, obey the laws of the land. That's when we were talking about the marriage, spiritual verse.
Yeah. True.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to respond, just once I finish reading it, you can just, give your 2 cents. PJ Austin, what up, PJ with the $5 says, what are the stats on stats being used for propaganda?
That's a good question. There's a lot of grifters out here that will absolutely use the stats for propaganda. I've seen some really, really horrible stats thrown out there. Some have been debunked entirely, so probably high.
Indeed. Corey Joe, what up, though, with the $2 says, what up, DJ Hamp and chat? Salute, my G. Reaper, what's popping with the $5 says, when you have time, DJ Hamp, check out this YouTube short on black women paying for white dates. Jeez. I'm gonna look at it. That shit, I think they be having that. Them shit be like skit, bro. But I'm gonna check it out, Reaper. I'm gonna check it out with objective. Reaper with the $10 says the useless white male epidemic is underreported. Many YouTube guys with black male stereotypes of not paying their way, having kids out of wedlock, are doing it all with all colors of women. Colonial delusions. Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's solid. That's solid.
Yeah, there's this DJ, this white boy. I think he was in Memphis or some shit. DJ something, where he bragged about giving out the HIV, you know what I mean, to like a couple hundred women, like something crazy. Rainbow Kid with the $5 says, not true, Trev. Black women date quote unquote corny white men and quote unquote upgrade them. We've all seen it. They post vids about it. Question is why won't black women do the same with corny black men? I guess it goes to
they're more malleable. They're not standing on business.
yeah. Rainbow, I think he actually alluded to this. Because remember, Rainbow, he was saying that white boy just exists, like, you know, but they just treat him differently. Do you think that they see him as weaker, like easier to control, Trev?
And I'm gonna tell you something. Women actually have the most manipulating power possible. They just be using it wrong. So when they get to this white dude and they're soft with him, then she can get what she want out of him. But that don't be the approach when they deal with black men. You know what I mean? They more so bump heads when they want to get their thing. They don't try that soft thing because, listen, dudes can easily fall for whatever a woman wants, right? If she know how to really satisfy his needs and whatever, she can be more suggestive versus more forceful. If women got game, they could get whatever they want. They just don't use the same game on black men. And I think that's part of the issue.
HQ with the $5 says he considers himself a good man, and yet this is most men with pookie behaviors. This is what I mean by 80% of men are practicing pookie behaviors. So she said this yesterday. That's why she highlighted it. HQ with the $5 says men ain't looking for one. Most of y'all trying to run numbers up. Many pookie behavior men, young and old. It ain't just women choosing wrong. HQ with the $5.
Let me respond to that real quick.
Sure.
See, with that, women have to become gatekeepers sometimes, right? Being that you're allowing all of these men who aren't doing anything for you, that's how they can run the numbers up. If you have requirements for all men, the more women do that, the harder it will be for men to run numbers up. Men are going to do whatever they can to go get some snatch. So guess what? If it's required that that he courts you, that he takes you seriously, you meet in families, and it's different. But because you have made sexual access so simplified for the men you desire, is why those men will exhibit that behavior in the first place.
So one question, Trev, on that. Should women gatekeep sometime or all the time?
All the time. If you want good results, all the time. All the time. All women should. All the time. That's what they should do. That's how you protect yourself. Why would you want to accumulate a lot of bodies and it's no good for you? That's proven that women accumulating bodies has an entirely different effect on women than it does men. So that's an issue all in itself. That's not something that you want to do. It doesn't help you.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. HQ with the $5 says there is not a lot of black women being flown out. That is definitely a lie. Hank with the $2 says, "What's good, brother Hank? What's up, Hank? What's popping?" And my guy Trev Smoove. Salute, Hank. I miss you, man. I ain't seen you in a month of Sundays, man. Dre on the grind with the $2 says, "Everyone drop your physical ratings in the chat." HQ with the $2 says, "Marry your baby mamas. Let's start there." Biz, what's popping, Biz? Salute to my young boy Biz for gifting 5 memberships. We're on the road to 1,000, my G. I appreciate you. Whoever got one of those, blessed with one of those memberships, please maintain it. HQ with the $2. Yes, it is most of y'all. Damn. Ty was popping, been a member for 4 months. Salute, Ty. Hank with the $2 says, "Hamp, my Funko Pops and action figures matter."
Wow.
Tezzy with the $2 says, "He's just talking. Stop trying to butter up the words."
Who were they referring to? Me or you?
They hear me all the time. Ty with the $2 says, "Women don't know what they want. Pound Pookie getting cheeks."
Hey, they ain't wrong. They ain't wrong.
Tezzy with the $5 says, "Nah, buddy, you're a true leader when you lead yourself first." Rainbow K with the $5 says, "Trev, White men play video games and have girlfriends / wives. Why are video games a problem for you? Is the issue the video game or the person?
Well, when I was referring to that, I was speaking about men in general, right? We're not just saying that only black men play video games. That's definitely not factual. So and my problem with video games is, like I explained a little earlier, it's just non-productive time. That's always going to be a problem for me. I'm never going to agree with that because I believe we can do so much better as men and actually attract more women by having less leisure and actually getting serious about what it is we're doing.
Word. PJ with the $5 says, is the quote unquote sexual marketplace value more important than values rooted in respect, kindness, honor, loyalty, self-identity, integrity, etc.? I guess it's a question for you, Trev.
Okay. So what people have to understand is there's a clear difference between obtaining a person and retaining a person, right? So your sexual marketplace value is going to be based on a lot of things that are tangibles. Now, to maintain a relationship, that's going to take a lot more intangibles. So there's none of those that are less important. I feel like every single one of those is a prerequisite. Everything that's mentioned in here, respect, kindness, honor, loyalty, self-identity, integrity, those are all prerequisites. Absolutely right on that.
Word. Caesar's Palace with the $5. What up, Caesar? Says, Trev, after a guy hits a woman a few times, who wants a relationship more? By hits, he's talking about sex. The girl. Well, I'm just for the people that the C students like myself. The girl or the guy. The majority of men control access to relationships. I guess it's a statement. You want to respond?
That would make sense if you didn't make a statement earlier that like saying that men have an average body count of 8. That's not a lot of access to sex. Think about what that is per year. You telling me that they have a lot of access to relationships? You didn't get in a relationship if you ain't even get the sex first. Think about that.
Damn.
In most cases.
Yeah. I think that's a good correlation. Machine, what up though with the $2 says, salute. Trev ain't said nothing wrong yet.
Appreciate you.
Lauren Mack with the 20 ball says, not Trev, Smoove gracing us with his presence.
Shit like that.
You too cool for school, my guy.
Appreciate you.
Oh, hey, Hamp. So I'm just an afterthought.
Lauren Mack,
now.
what up? Appreciate you.
Thanks, Lauren, man. I appreciate at least being an afterthought. Appreciate it. Thank you, Lauren Mack, for the first 20 ball of the day. So I can get my, there you go. Didn't fit.
Didn't fit.
Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend.
Must have quit.
You feel me? Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. All right, Trev, I'm gonna drop this link.
I'm ready for it, man. I know it's definitely gonna be some pushback based on some of the super chats. I'm here for it. We're gonna keep it respectable. I'm in a good mood.
Yeah, no.